experts say the Guptas received nearly 60 billion rand in contracts linked to state capture. Here's the thing, though. That's just the tip of the iceberg when you explore the impact on the economy. Let's get the details. eNCA's Michael Marillier tracking that story for us. And Michael, you are looking at the economic growth over the past few years. What kind of impact are we talking here?
Yeah, Tulis, this has got nothing to do with the actual looting itself. So as you mentioned, those contracts that were involved were linked to so-called state capture. What we're actually looking at here is the economic impact. So the Bureau for Economic Research looked at the so-called state capture era. So roughly 2007 to 2017, mostly under the Jacob Zuma presidency. And they said, what did our economy do? How did investors respond to the leadership? How did they respond to policy? And how did they respond to the management of the overall economy? To us, it seems that the money was talking, and in South Africa's case, the money was saying goodbye. Let's take a look at the stats. What's really interesting here, Tulis, is that you're going to see the global average in terms of GDP growth per year. That's that blue line over there. As you can remember, in 2009, there was a big financial crash. But take a look at that green line. That's South Africa. For the most part, from 1994 to 2008, South Africa followed the global trend. Very close. You can see how aligned those lines actually are. But then take a look at what happens post-2008. Take a look at that divergence between the blue and the green. Something was going on in South Africa that wasn't happening in the rest of the world. And if you look at emerging markets as well, Tulis, we're often compared to these economies as well, much, much lower. Emerging markets, that's the yellow line, around about 4 to 5% per year. Even advanced economies, which tend to register very low growth, 1 to 2% per year, they actually overtook South Africa. You can see towards 2016 and 2017. The BER is saying that all of this indicates there were big problems, big internal problems in South Africa. Policy uncertainty, allegations of corruption and state capture, none of this helping our cause. In fact, let's take a look at the averages, Tulisizwe, and this will just bring it home for you. South Africa, over that period, averaging about 2% in terms of GDP growth. The rest of the world, almost double that rate, 3.8%. Emerging markets, as I mentioned, above 5% to us. And other commodity exporters, so countries like South Africa, which would export gold, platinum, coal, and so on and so forth, again, almost double South Africa's rate. So clearly an internal problem here, Tulis, as opposed to an external problem, and it seems corruption was at the heart of it.
So talk to me in rands and cents. Percentages are one thing, but what does it look like in terms of rands and cents?
All right, we're going to whiz through this. Hold on to your hats, guys. Let's take a quick look at the numbers. The BER saying that by 2017, our economy would have been bigger by 481 billion rand. So that's extra GDP. That translates to this into about 8,500 rand per person in the entire country. Also, massive amounts of jobs that were lost effectively during this crisis, about 500,000 jobs. Some experts saying that's a conservative estimate, Tulisizwe. And then in terms of tax revenue, the researchers saying that we would have had another 676 billion rand in tax revenue over the course of 8 years. I don't know about you, Tulisizwe, but I think we could have bought a lot of vaccines and maybe a lot of PPE with 676 billion rand.